My friends in Florida don't understand what that is, but it is really cold here in Maryland. And everyone is wearing hats and scarves and gloves, and these are some of the first things that you learn how to crochet. So I go around and I kind of do informal surveys on people and say, oh, do you prefer a thick scarf or a thin scarf? Do you prefer to wrap it once? Do you prefer to wrap it twice? Do you like a lighter material, a darker material? So I'm making this for my friend Maureen at the Health and Humor Show over at Podomatic.com. In fact, we have a rare unboxing at the end of this video because I want to get this done today. We'll see how it goes. So I'm going to be crocheting here, and then hopefully you'll be able to see it there. Let me tell you, doing two cameras at once, hi John, two cameras at once is a real pain in the tuchus. So just, be patient with yourself. I wanted to go live on YouTube, by the way, but apparently I've never done that before, and so they've got to make sure that I'm copacetic. They probably won't because I have drawing channels on there, but that's okay. So one of the things people keep asking me about crochet, other than, did you do that? No, really, did you do that? Yeah, I really did that. Is, how did you learn? How did you get into it? And I tell you, we live in a great day and age because there are millions of teachers online. All you have to do is go to Google, or I go onto YouTube and I search for crochet and go basic, Crochet 101, Crocheting Basics. All you need is a needle and corresponding thread. One of the first things to look for when you're crocheting is you want to make sure that you look at the side of the package. All of your yarn will come with one of these information labels on it, and of course it'll be backwards, but that's what you're looking for. It's giving you the size of the needle that you want to use. It will also tell you how many stitches are in a 4x4 square. Yeah, 4x4 square. Yeah. That's beyond my level of crochet. And that's the other thing. I want to encourage people not to be discouraged. It's very easy to get into a new kind of practice and a hobby. Hello, Ali B. And it's very simple. Hello, Sally. It's very simple to get bogged down by all the new information. When you hit crochet videos online, you will see thousands and thousands of videos. It's an amazing time we live in. So first of all, don't get bogged down by all the different projects. There are a million ways to crochet, and it all depends on what you're aiming for. Now, if you watch my video up close, you'll notice that I'm doing a double stitch, a double front post stitch. So as you know, with every industry, from banking to bicycling to poetry, each and every one of these industries has its own terms to be as specific as possible. So front post just means I'm going through the front piece here instead of in between. But again, don't be discouraged. It's okay if you can't read music. It doesn't mean you should never pick up an instrument. The other thing is to be patient with yourself. Recently, I've had a lot of tension in my left hand, and I can only imagine it's coming from crochet, which is extremely repetitive, and also a using hands for everything else. So that's fun. So I started teaching myself how to crochet with my other hand, and it is really slow, extremely slow, and excruciating. So it often tests my patience. But if you slow down and take your time to move through each step, I'm trying to talk and crochet at the same time, you will find that after 1,000 stitches that it will become second nature. It'll become such second nature that often when I go to switch between projects, I will forget which stitch I'm using. You can use a single, which is very slow. You can use a double, which is wonderful. Half doubles, all kinds of different stuff. I would recommend working with larger yarn. My first frustrations with crochet when I was starting out is that you use this really tiny yarn that's usually 5 millimeters or 6 millimeters. And that's great if you have small hands, I suppose. Or, no, that's not true. It would be great if you perhaps have a lot of patience, but I do not have patience, not patience at all. So the first time I found bigger yarn and then used larger needles, I was in heaven, truly, truly heaven. You're going to find this for a lot of a lot of like ushy stuff. I'm also working on a bikini, which that'll be another video altogether because, branding and whatnot. But the bikini has been eye-opening because it's not about being bulky. It's about being comfortable. It's about imitating the mechanics of an actual bikini. I bet you do other things with your hands, Chris. Good night, sir. Good night. But the bikini is interesting, and I finally broke down and bought one offline, a string bikini, so then I could basically dissect it and then replicate it with crochet. So when that is further along, I gladly share that with you fine folks. But for right now, we want to get this infinity scarf done for the Health and Humor Show on Podomatic.com. $1 every time I mention their name. Why, that's ridiculous. Health and Humor Show on Podomatic.com. That would be insane. I was watching a wonderful video today from Nerd City. Just an alert. They are kind of racy, a little spicy. But they were examining Jake Paul and his insane monetization toward children. It was, wow. But not only was it aiming toward a younger crowd, but he was also specifically 50% of his content was pitching merchandise. And, imagine if, well, I'm sure you've done it. You've clicked on a video and the ad beforehand is like 3 minutes long and the video is only 30 seconds. And you're going, that's like a 6-to-1 ratio. That's not dressing. That's the main course. It's kind of like that scene in Wayne's World when he was talking about all the marketing and selling out. He's like, I don't want to sell out. He's like, here, take these. They're little, yellow, different. Nuprin, because they're still around. And perhaps the finest. See, why you got to make it weird? He says his wife likes bigger needles. Well, I'll be honest with you. I like big needles too, and you can take that however you want. I don't even have my bag of needles around here. It gets pretty ridiculous. I'll be honest. You can. There's a S. I have an S that's 30 millimeters. This right here is a P, I believe. Yeah, they put it on there. It's P. It's 11.5 millimeters, and it's comfortable. It's also plastic. Some of the smaller ones are a metal hook, which is fine, but I am a sweaty kind of guy, which is more information than you ever needed to know. But the issue is that as I'm drawing the yarn through my fingers, the moisture causes it to stick on the needle. So, good times. One of the greatest things about crocheting is releasing anger. I also find it very meditative because it's a lot of concentrated effort into a small area, which is wonderful, just wonderful. Ah, yes. So, I had an opportunity to MC a 80s themed party on Saturday night, and it was a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun. I did make a faux pas, by the way. Let me tell you, if any of you ever consider organizing a costume contest, take the time to put out a sign-up sheet and let people tell you who they are attempting to be. I tried to improvise on the spot when people were standing up in front of me, and I insulted someone. Now, granted, I didn't see the person they were aiming for, but that doesn't matter. The whole thing about it is to give people the recognition that they're aiming for. That's the point. So, word to the wise is sufficient, as my mother would say. I'm pretty sure that's a Bible verse, but feel free to annotate as you see fit. So, that kind of bothered me, because I want everybody to have a good time. And yes, you can't please everybody, but I think that if you work hard enough and you anticipate people's needs, you can really turn things around. I was at a wedding in New York recently, and there was a basket near the DJ booth that had these dollar store flip-flops in them. And they're brand new, they're still wrapped together. And there was a little sign that said, "Oh, tired feet need relief. Take a complimentary pair of flip-flops." And it was great because you're anticipating people's needs. You're trying to make as many people as happy as possible. And, you can't, not everyone can enjoy all 8 hours of a wedding. That's not going to happen. But you can anticipate certain things to make the whole process a lot easier for everyone who does attend. It was a lot of fun. I went up to New York to see a buddy of mine married. Peace up to the Rosens. What? A lot of fun. There's no such thing as a bad event, because if you spend your time learning from your mistakes, you will always improve. One of the very first times I tried to MC anything, I was in high school. There was a fashion show for the seniors, I believe, and they were looking for hosts. So I was wearing sweatsuit. Not even a leisure suit, not even a cool Adidas tracksuit. I was wearing sweatpants and a sweatshirt. And they were matching colors, and they were not very flattering, I suppose, because I got up there and very timidly I went, "All right, ladies and gentlemen, we've got some amazing models for you here today. They'll lovely." I don't know. I don't even know what I said, but it was, even now, I'm flashing back to the embarrassment of that time. However, it was it's a growing experience. I learned, first of all, you can't go in timid. My daughter's getting married in April, and she was interviewing DJs. And the one DJ, she just called right out and said, "You're kind of quiet. How do I know you're going to be able to be Mr. Show when you get to the reception?" And he goes, "Trust me, I can do it." She said, "Well, go ahead and give me an announcement, announce the couple." And he's like, "I'm not going to do that." It's like, really? You're not going to do that? And I feel bad for the guy, because I used to be there, and maybe he's, maybe he's big enough that he doesn't have to cater to people's needs. But what I think might be the case is that maybe he's faking it. Maybe he's faking it till he makes it. Maybe he's trying to call one in. I don't know. But, if the customer wants you to impress them, impress the customer. I mean, I'm not saying you have to be unrealistic, and you don't have to humble yourself if you don't feel that someone in front of you is worthy of that humbling. But at the same time, at least try. At least reach out. Well, hello, guard. Welcome. It's kind of fun. Hello, Ryan. Hello, Marcia. Wah, 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 wah. Hello, Heather. Man, y'all are not busy on a Monday. By the way, if any of you are in Maryland and would like to play trivia, by the by, I'll be out in Annapolis tonight. The game starts at 7:30. It's at Reynolds Tavern, 1747. Hosted every Monday night. We free to play, provided by the venue, and there are fabulous gift certificate prizes for the first 3 teams. So feel free to come out. It's a fun little place. During the summer, we play outside. We get crowds of 60, 75 people, and during the colder months, we play downstairs in the pub. And it's really cool because it used to be an actual public drinking house, and upstairs is a tea house, and it's really kind of cool. Downtown Annapolis is a schwanky little joint. And on Wednesdays, I'm in Gaithersburg. Thursdays and Fridays, I'm in Germantown. And then on Saturdays, I'm usually in Pikesville. So Let me know if you're looking for trivias. So another bad performance. Let's talk about bad performances while we're going through this. We'll sew all of the lessons of performance into this beautiful scarf for Maureen. I was once hired to talk about the benefits of comedy in the workplace, which can backfire royally if you're not careful. It was a wonderful organization, dealt with mental health. And the person who contacted me, unfortunately, contacted me through an old email. So do yourself a favor, scour all of your contact information on the web, and make sure that if there's an email associated with your name anywhere, that email is current and that email is valid. And it's something that you check, because this woman was unhappy. She contacted me 3 times. I never saw the first 2 emails. And by the 3rd one, we had already had an issue. So, smoothed it over, told her I could do whatever she'd like. She wanted this. I don't know, it almost felt begrudgingly. Like she was doing it as a favor to someone, and she was already mad about this. So, I made a lot of mistakes with that one. I winged it. I did not interview the client. I cannot tell you how important it is to interview the client. Even, it's obvious when you're doing like a roast, but it's not so obvious when you're doing, just general humor for corporate America. You can stand to make a lot of money if you can stick within their guidelines, still be funny, but also cater it to the audience. And the only way you're going to know their boundaries and what they like to laugh about is if you interview the client. So take the time to interview the client. Didn't do it on that one. Walked into that, and now, to be fair to me, not that I really needed extra cheerleading, but they did change everything about the appointment. So this is another thing that the world champions have always been stressing through Toastmasters, is that you have to have a speaking contract. And it's okay. Don't freak out. It's not like I wouldn't discourage you from talking to a lawyer, but at the same time, do your own research. Figure out what people like, what people, what's out there. You can go to Staples and pick up a incorporation kit. I don't know that I'd recommend that either. But anyway, do your research, figure out what kind of speaking contract. Even if it's something as simple as an email, just outlining what you need and what you don't need. I recently emceed a wedding reception, and I sent a very thorough contract, and it was very straightforward. When, where, how much was expected, what deposits there were, when the monies were due, the breakdown, the timeline. A month out, I want to make sure that I have an entire schedule. A week out, I want to make sure I can review with you. Take the steps to go through and painfully try to predict all of the mistakes ahead of time. Because if you wind up in the situation, you're going to learn. Yeah, you're going to learn. It's okay, though. That's the key. Definitely learn. When I went to that wedding reception, the first thing I found out is somebody lost something. So I started a lost and found, turned over a sheet of paper, wrote lost and found, slapped the item on there. And whenever we had a break in the program, I was like, hey, everybody, there's a lost and found over here. We currently got some kind of pin and an earring. Please stop by, check it out. Again, adapt and then retain. Adapt and retain. Because every speaking engagement, yes, will be different than every other one, but there are enough similarities between them that you can do quite a bit of preparation ahead of time. When you have a presentation that's more than 20 minutes, think about breakout sessions. Breakout sessions are basically relief points in the presentation that allow people to take a breath and kind of digest what you've just said and showed them and all that good stuff. So give yourself time. Give them time. And for goodness sakes, let them get up every 30 minutes to go to the bathroom. Then you don't have people trickling out. Pardon the pun. Hello, Daniel. Welcome. It's not very entertaining, I don't think. Might be entertaining. It's relaxing for some. If you're bored and you need to expose yourself to some new cultural peculiarities, I would encourage you to look up mukbang videos. It's not as disgusting as it sounds. Mukbang, I believe, is Korean. But basically, they are videos where people sit at a table and eat, and usually eat rather large meals. It's not so much a challenge of how much you can shove in your mouth or competitive eating, but it's more to simulate the other half of a dining room table, if you will. Like right now, if you and I were sitting down, your perspective would be, oh, you're sitting on the floor with me, hanging out with me. But in mukbang videos, you usually film you at the other end of, some kind of eating environment, usually at a table or living room or what have you, just eating and talking about the food and eating. And it's huge, a huge market. I mean, we have online at our fingertips. So no matter what you're into, try putting something out there, but be authentic. And when I say be authentic, it's a very beaten term. Be yourself. It's beaten as well. Wax true, young one. Wax true. Hey, speaking of waxing, I think rollers for painting are making us weak as a nation, really. Because if you don't paint the fence, I mean, how do you understand how to block, really? I know, bad joke. Zadie's theme night, I was flashing back to those days. Now, this specific yarn, getting back to crochet talk, this specific yarn calls for an L or an 8. No, L is 10. I think L is 8. Yeah, 8 millimeter. But I'm using a P because I want it. First of all, I'm doing a front post stitch, which is rather bunchy. But if you do it with a larger needle, you make the final work a lot looser. Yeah, I know you're impressed. I can tell you're impressed. Yada-da-da. So I'm excited because this is the first type of infinity scarf I've made like this. I made a different one that was alternate colors, but this is my first straight through. Oh! Patience, Daniel-san. Patience. Oh, let's see what else is going on. Hey, we're about to get some snow tomorrow. That'll be fun for all my Florida people. That's when the skies get really angry and the rain comes down in solid form and you don't like it. Now you all have hail, which is really angry. But snow stays. Hail doesn't stay. Like hail doesn't accumulate normally. Just goes straight into slush or freezing rain and all this noise. But when it comes down in snow, it starts piling up everywhere. And that's when you get a bulldozer on your street, pulling all the snow away from your abode. So that's fun. Fun to look forward to. Hello, welcome, Clyde. Clyde! The man with the perfect coif. Hi, John. Welcome. Making an infinity scarf today with a front cable double stitch. Oh yes, nice. I like to use variegated. That's the fancy yarn term for color change yarn. So instead of yarn being all one color, as you go, it will change colors every so often. Now, if you look into the different kinds, variegate is the general term. You'll also hear them called prints or ombre, like the hair. I think I'm saying that wrong. Ombre? No, it's not ombre. It's probably ombre. ombre, because it's French. Hello. Hello, Ray. It's, yeah. So if you've seen the fancy hat that I was wearing last time, basically I just walked into Walmart and I bought 13 striped color changing yarns and slammed them all together. The beautiful thing is if you look at the hat close enough, you'll notice that every single stitch is almost a unique color pattern because there are 13 variables that fluctuate in place. So those 13 strands change color every so often, every few inches. And that's what makes the hat so mesmerizing. It's funny, everywhere I take the hat, people are just like, whoa, that hat. I'm like, yeah, that hat. Somebody tagged me the other day. They walked by. They're like, that's some bad hat, Harry. It's like, oh, nice. Very nice. I forget who. That's a production company for a show I used to watch all the time. Is it Blacklist? No, couldn't be Blacklist. Nope, escaping me right now. Da, 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 da. So if you're looking for a new hobby, I would encourage you, if you don't have vicious arthritis, to take up crocheting. It's quiet, mostly, unless you miss a stitch, and then there's a lot of cursing involved. But it's dry, so you don't have to worry about carrying liquids around like paints. They're not allowed everywhere because of the crochet needles. Like you can't take them to jury because people don't think that you're paying attention if you're crocheting. But the thing is I'm repeating the same pattern over and over. My hands are basically in a perpetual loop. Just a loop. That's it. Yarn over, go through, yarn over, go through, yarn over, go through, yarn over, go through. And repeat. And that's it. Just over and over and over. In fact, it gets so repetitious that sometimes I have to be careful because I will just shred my muscles doing this. Well, when you use it as a meditative practice and you're sitting there and life's getting you down and you've got all those things going through your head, you're just like, well, hey, we're just going to crochet a little bit and just get it all, get it all out. Get it all into the chenille. Here's another term. Chenille is a type of yarn. It basically looks like a sine wave that's been sewn so that when they cut the ends of it, it fluffs out. So chenille is extremely soft. It doesn't have a whole lot of, I don't know the term for it, but like fibers that come off all the time. I find that depending on the scarf you get, sometimes they'll just be loaded with fibers that are falling off, and it's not my cup of tea. Because inevitably those fibers get in my mouth and I start doing one of those like walked into a spider web faces where I'm like, that's no good. Nobody likes that. The other nice thing is if you work with smaller stuff, even with this, like I can get a full ball of yarn and a needle and most of the project in a gallon Ziploc bag, which is really nice because then you can take it anywhere. I'll put them in my pocket. Took my mom to the hospital the other day for an outpatient procedure. Not trying to tell her business, but it's one of those things. It was a circulation test. More business you didn't need to know. But while I was waiting for her at the hospital, it was like 2 hours just sitting and waiting. So I got out my crocheting and I crocheted. And those 2 hours went by in no time. And she was ready to go, and we had a happy jaunt on the way home. So everything's fine, by the way. Thank you for asking. So tell me, have you ever tried crocheting or knitting for that matter? I tried knitting. That was not as big finger friendly as I had hoped. Maybe I need to work on that. But like the crochet is strong with me. So the knitting is something I'm picking up. Always fun. Always fun. getting close, getting close. I don't have, let's see, I think we can get this done in an hour. I'm hoping that we can get it knocked out. Actually, got to get ready for work in an hour, so we'll have to be done with that, won't